What are your thoughts of like you doing some pretty abnormal things yourself as far as educational things and some career choices and so on and so on. What are some things that you've observed normal people doing versus some of the decisions that you've made, and how's that turned out in terms of results over the years?
I literally think like the people that are most successful, like the fighters financially, they just have no excuses, never. And I also had to think about a story that you once told me when I think you were hurt pretty bad. You had something with the ankle, I think. And one of your trainers told you, we can definitely reschedule if you want to. But you said there's no way around that. And just also the people that we met on your events, I think one of them really stood out to me regarding like having no excuses is actually Kurt, who
Kurt
Angle. He won the Olympic medal with like 4 broken vertebrae, which is like really an abnormal thing to do. And I mean, if I look at myself, like being here on Christmas evening and also yesterday when everybody else is home, like eating fried stuff, probably watching, I don't know, Harry Potter, a lot of the Rings, whatever is on TV on Christmas. It feels so good to be here, being productive, outworking our competition while they're, doing something. There's nothing bad about spending some time with the family, but still be productive about it. And I'm very happy that you actually had the time, told me that I could come over from Europe to be here, and it's very fantastic.
If you love your family, give them a little hug, give them a little kiss, say some sweet words, and then go do something they'd be proud of.
Yeah.
Do the things that make your family proud.
And also I would say like, just having the consistency to stick with what you're doing is just so critically important. If, I think of our relationship, we know each other for 10 years now. And after 6 years, I mean, that was never planned, but Derek helped me so much with my financials that technically I'm a medical doctor, even though it doesn't feel like that anymore, and I mean that as the biggest compliment, Derek prevented me from going to a normal job. And we made so much money in the last few years, like with the stock market, thinking especially about Nordstrom, what you just said. I remember in 2020, there was a rating for Nordstrom from 1 to 10. And I think just because of Nordstrom, they actually extended the ratings and gave it a 0.1 to 10. And you were still you had the courage to go against everybody, probably even everybody at that time. And just having that courage in general, not just with the stocks, but also with your goals, with whatever you're working on, is just also a very, very important factor in order to be, not just successful, but getting to the top 1 or top 0.1%.
My most successful percentage return from 2020 era was a company called Targa Resources. And when I bought that company, the average analyst rating was 0.3 out of 10. Not 3 out of 10, 0.3 out of 10. And I was paying about $8, $7.80, something like that, $7.80. And I bought that in a margin account. You had to put $3 down, usually 30%, but minimum $3 in my brokerage. And so I'm paying $3 a share, and then later you're paying $7.80, but you're borrowing, the part of it. I was paying 1.25% interest on that money, by the way. I was paying 1.25% interest at that time. Now, the interest rates run up since then and then down since then. But you could put a lot of money in a margin account, and you don't want to be over leveraged, but the interest rate itself, the interest expense is very negligible. That if you borrow at 1.25%, is that you borrow $20 million and pay $25,000 in interest on it. It's pretty negligible. $250,000. In any case. Targa, I sold that for, I got a 1,806% cash on cash return. I got 1,806%. That means for every dollar that I put in, I got $18.06 back, 1,806. And then after that, the thing doubled again. I sold it.
Yeah.
And after that, it doubled again. And so it went up to like $180. So I sold it too soon. I should have got a 3,600% return instead. But when you look at some of those stocks at that moment, and the analysts don't know anything. If they knew anything, they wouldn't have time to be an analyst. So an analyst in the stock market, that's some kid who was an English major or literature major in college, and he can write some flowery words and tell a little dramatic story. We don't know what he's talking about, but he's a good storyteller. And I always say about the analysts that when you look at an analyst report, don't bother when you see the headline and it gets your attention. The next thing that you should look at is look at the disclosures at the very end. At the bottom of the thingy, there'll be a disclosure. It says, I/we, own, no interest in this. and usually, 80% of the time when you read an analyst report, it's very opinionated one way or another. They say either the stock's going to go up a lot or the stock's going to go down a lot. It tends to be somewhat opinionated. Or why the hell would they, if there was nothing to say about it, if they didn't have a strong opinion, why are they writing about it, okay? So it tends to be opinionated. Usually it's going up or it's going down. And in either case, if they say, oh, this thing's great, it's going to go up, we're very optimistic about it. And then you go back there and you look at the disclosure, and they own none. They own zero. If they owned one share, they would have to put in the disclosure that I/we, have a material interest in this company. I own some of the company. If they owned one share, they would have to put that in the disclosure. But when you look at the disclosures, they don't own it. They're not following their own advice. And the same thing on the downside. They say, this company is a piece of shit. It's going to go to hell. You're going to go bankrupt if you own it. Well, okay, when I look at the disclosure, why aren't you shorting it then? You got a lot of flowery words. It sounds like the Bible, all the hell and brimstone and damnation. Sounds like a Southern sermon. But why aren't you shorting it then? So an analyst is usually is an English major or a literature major that has a lot of flowery words or a lot of harsh words, but they don't know what the hell they're talking about mostly. So just an aside based on what you said, but yeah, I bought companies that 0.1 out of 10, 0.3 out of 10. People think you're crazy while you're doing that, And I'm just looking at the financials and understanding. That's why I look at Kohl's right now. I don't even know what the analysts think about it because I don't even look. I don't know what they think. I don't care what they think. But when I look at the financial statements and I see it's trading for 41% of book value, meaning that if you sold the assets of the company and the brand name was worth nothing, and you just sold the assets of the company, you should get about 2.5 times what it's currently trading for. You'd get about 2.5 times that in the market. And if everything was sold for 20% off, if those numbers were not reflective of what you could get selling it quickly, if everything sold for a 20% discount, well, then you would still get double what it's currently trading for. So when I look at things like that, and then all right, they got 18 billion in revenue, almost 18 billion at 17 point something, $2 dividend. I just got my dividend yesterday. They paid me almost $1 million a year in dividends. I think the first of the year, I'm going to take my Nordstrom money and go buy some more Kohl's. And then I'll get paid over $1 million a year in my Kohl's dividend. And they might cut the dividend, by the way. They might cut the dividend at some time in the future. So I don't need that dividend for the stock to still be valuable in the future. I just need to think that, well, at some time, the stuff has to sell for, if it sold for half of what the book value, the stock could still go up 25% from where it's currently at. So I'm not exactly shy about buying new shares. So things don't tend to sell for half a book value. Discrepancies like that don't seem to last forever in the marketplace. So think about things like that. And if you're worried what an analyst says, if you don't have your own analytics tools, if you don't understand, how the stock market works or how real estate works, then just stay poor, I guess. But for those of you that are here, you're going to learn an awful lot about that throughout this course. You take the Markets Mastery course, you're going to learn an awful lot about how real estate is traded in the stock market through companies like I'm describing, or real estate investment trusts, or infrastructure is another. It's not quite real estate, but it's another asset that performs a lot like real estate in that you can collect rents off of things like power lines, the electrical grid, the natural gas lines, oil and gas production infrastructure. So that'll pay you, rents, so to speak, the same way that a field will, a cornfield or a shopping center or an office space or, a conglomerate of residential rentals. You can make money from any of those assets. And I kind of classify in my head as similar performing asset, things like, again, electrical infrastructure, natural gas infrastructure, oil infrastructure. I think of it as a similar asset, although technically a different industry.
I would also like to add, going back to the question, what is very important in order to be successful. I mean, it's so obvious, but surround yourself with people who are way more competent in things that you are. And I think, when it comes to stocks, the choice, in my opinion at least, or general, about financials, it's pretty obvious. And show up consistently. When I think about the last 4 years, I think I've been to the US like 13 times, been to many live events, and I think actually the most money that we made together were in these little chats that we had like in 4 a.m. I particularly remember that one chat that we had in 2023, like 4:30, Derek had to get up at, I don't know, I think it was 10 a.m., but he still took the time to chat with me for a little bit. And that was actually the time where I more than doubled down on my Nordstrom position, where I was actually, I don't want to say I was just about to sell it, but I was very anxious at a time when I think the stock price was something like $30. And I asked you, should I sell? And she was like, hell no, you should buy more. And just these small things, like surrounding yourself consistently with people who are like-minded and, in the best case scenario, better in something than you, is just as important as anything else when it comes to success.
Yeah, that's something like September, if I remember right, I think that's September 2023. And, the decisions you're making on that conversation, I bought more Nordstrom, I bought more Macy's. I think Nordstrom was down to like $12.72, something like that. Yeah. That's the number that stuck in my head. That might not be precise, but that's the number in my head. I think it went down to $12.72, and we were buying a lot around $13, and I think bought some at $12.90 or so. But that stuff is just sold. The company announced it's being purchased for $24.25, and I collected dividends since then. And I bought an extra 100,000 shares plus. And then, and Macy's went up and, did well after that as well. So that conversation, I think, I remember a number, I don't want to talk about your finances, but I remember a number that you said at the time was a pretty significant number. And, we had a 20-30 minute conversation, but I'm like, well, probably I should do this and that myself. And I bought more Macy's, I bought more Nordstrom at that time. And there was another, $2 million and change. There's a couple $1 million extra money that I made from that. And, a couple $1 million is a couple $1 million. You can buy a lot of acai bowls for a couple $1 million. How much acai can we buy?
Yeah, a lot.
A lot.
Hard to count right now.
Yeah, it'd be hard to eat that much acai at one time. You have to put it in the freezer. It'd take a while. Feed a lot of people with a couple $1 million of acai. So, those little things make a big difference. And if you're worried about what the public says about something, what the analyst says, you're worried about what your fat aunt says about Christmas. Do you have the same goals as your fat aunt? Do you have the same goals as those English majors and literature majors that are writing, fake news reports about publicly traded companies? It depends what your goals are. If you want to make real money, then you can't worry about what your aunt thinks. You can't worry about what your mommy thinks if your mommy don't have the same goals. And, you can't worry about, what the news says about something. That if the people knew anything, they wouldn't have time to tell a bunch of fake news. They'd be spending their time making money and do something productive instead. So you got to make sure that you're listening to people that have already accomplished the things that you want to accomplish and maybe higher. When I wanted to learn about martial arts, I didn't go to like Bobo's gym and, I'm sure there's a lineage of losers of, Bobo and Joey and whoever that nobody knows who the hell they are and they never did anything. But, they probably could fight okay fighting some other bum. But I wanted to work with the best people in the world. And we talked about this earlier, when you're learning from the top guys that are doing something, the top people in the world doing something, you learn a lot faster and you learn the right things. You feel confident about what you're doing because, all right, you're learning from the guys who did that better than anybody else,
100%. Yeah.
I think you're a person that's very well positioned to talk about that, Chuck Liddell, famous, 5-time, 6-time champion at UFC. Chuck Liddell was a mentor to Glover, and Glover's been a mentor to Alex Pereira. And, all of them have been UFC champions. And I think about that like the lineage of mentorship where, Socrates was the mentor of Plato, and Plato was the mentor of Aristotle, and Aristotle was the mentor of Alexander the Great. And, we know all their names 2,500 years later for the wisdom they shared and, the brutal conquering that Alexander did in the aftermath. And also the wisdom that he had of, keeping some of those territories together and traveling farther than anyone knew existed at that time in history. But you're in the middle of one of those mentorship chains or lineages of Chuck Liddell helped you with a lot of things. You helped Alex with a lot of things. All three of you have been champions. Do you think that you would have done that without being in that environment with other champions and following their examples?
No way. But also, like, Chuck didn't go in my house to help me out, I had to sacrifice a little bit, like you say before.
Chuck comes to my house all the time. He didn't go to yours.
No, he didn't go to my house. He go to my house now with friends, But I'm talking about, like, in the beginning, I had to leave my landscaping job, and yes, I have to hear from my boss, hey man, you're gonna leave this job to go to California playing this game, and the job is always gonna be there, right? Those jobs, if I need a landscaping job, I think I can get a job in Chicago, I can get a job in Connecticut, California, I can just
Probably.
go and is right now people probably happy to hire me, UFC champions are working for me,
Yeah.
But the reality, yes, I leave the company. I don't want to give everything, to help, to learn from somebody. If I have the opportunity to train with a guy like Chuck Liddell at the time, was the biggest name, him and Tito and Randy Couture was the biggest name in UFC, and I say, man, I can't miss this opportunity. I don't care how much I make it right now, I just gotta leave everything and full on, because it's a great opportunity. Now I have a guy that I know that he can teach me how to get there because he's been in a road, so I don't have to doubt, about that. And now it's all only on me, It's like now I gotta do the work. That's the way I thought.
I feel exactly like that. I have an amazing opportunity that maybe Chuck was busier during that period of his life, but Chuck Liddell comes here a couple times a year. Glover comes here frequently. And all the other amazing champions have come here to help me. Is Lyoto Machida or Royce Gracie and 20 other people. If I say a bunch of names, then I forget one, they'll be mad at me. So, 25 people that are amazing champions, 30 people that are just amazing fighters. Maybe they weren't champion, but, when I learn something from them, I say, okay, Lyoto say, do it like this. Glover say, do it like this. Or Andrei Arlovsky say, same thing. If I have, people with that experience and that level of results, and they all said telling me, hey, this is the path, this is the thing to do. If I don't do that, it's my fault. It's my fault. There's no obfuscation, whatever. There's the path. It's like, hey, do you want to do the work and earn the outcome, or you don't? So I just make sure, I don't have to think about it. I just say, all right. One of them tells me to do something, I'm going to do it and see how it feels, and does this make sense, and try to understand. When 2 or 3 people like this tell me, no, this is the thing, then okay, that's the thing. We're going to go do that thing now. Mm-hmm. And it's my fault if I don't do that. You have that opportunity to have that level of knowledge and wisdom. Yeah, it'd be like if you had, I don't know. I mean, it's if you had Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett, and I put Elon Musk in there, although he's more of an entrepreneur than an investor, but he seems to know a lot about business and do pretty well with his finances. If you had Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger and Elon Musk, and they were all saying to you, "Hey, dummy, just do this," probably you should do it. Probably that'd be a good path to follow. Imagine they're showing up at your place. They're showing up in your office to tell you, this is the thing to do, and they spend a lot of time doing it with you. So I should just do that then. And any of the results, it's not arrogant or cocky for me to say I've had outstanding results, outrageous results for the amount of time I've been training, a bit more than 3 years. It's not possible without those people. It's not possible without them to take the time to show me, explain to me. I got to do the thing. I got to sit down and think about it. I get up, I do it a little better. I got to sit down and think about it. I get up, I do it a little better. It's almost like a joke the way, we joke about that. But all the time, if you come back in a couple months, there's going to be improvement. And
100%.
that's the part that I think about all the time, that I would be embarrassed that I have the quality of people that I have helping me, and to not have good improvement. That means I haven't been following the instruction. It means I haven't been doing the thing. So I know if I do the thing, every 2 months is going to be better. 2 more months better. And sometimes the next day is better, but in 2 months you see significant improvement. 2 more months. You can do the same thing, folks.
Yeah, what I learned as coach is like even you show somebody that you can do, like, me, for example, I become a champion, so they know, right? It's not somebody that goes over there that never been in an octagon and is coaching them. They know I've been there, done that. But you tell them, it's like a couple people just give up right there afterwards because it's too much work, even though you tell them this is what you got to do, it's too much. And some people stays, but they some illusion in their mind, they think, okay, I know Glover asked me to do this way, but I'm going to do it my way.
Yep.
And it's not like you hear they say, okay, Glover, you do it this way, but Andrea showed me this way, I'm going to do, his way. It's not like two mentors, it's his way of like, he just choose the easier way. People tend to do that, to try to use the easy way and try to, illusion themselves to be like, okay, this is going to work. But most of the time it doesn't.
Yeah, I don't need to do it my way. I think about this with business. I think about this with any goal that I have. I don't want to do it my way. I want to do it the best way. Your ego is not your friend. If you go through this course and you're like, oh, that's nice, but I'm going to do it my way, that probably means that you have a low IQ, or you're a very lazy person and you're lying to yourself. Perhaps both. You might be a low IQ individual who lies to themselves. Could be both. But I don't want to do things my way. I want to do things the best way. I made sure that I went to the best business school in the world because I wanted to learn what are the best ways to look at some of these investments. What is the best ways to understand the financial statements? What is the best way to understand how a business works? I went to the coaching team that I have for fighting. I interviewed, 300 athletes. A lot of them were fighters. I picked the ones that I got along with that I thought, I could imagine spending time with this person. We get along, we get shit done. And I brought so many people here, and then, the best ones, I asked them, please come back. Please come back. Can you come back again? Can you come back 3 times, 4 times next year? Great. Let's put it on the schedule. Okay, great. I don't want to do it my way. You hear me tell you a lot of things about, well, Glover, I think I should do it this way. When we're training, do you hear me say a lot of shit like this?
No, just keep the drill. Keep doing it. Non-stop it, repetition, until you get it right.
Yeah, I don't want to do it my way.
Get comfortable.
His way is better than my way. That's why he got a big fancy UFC belt. So I'm going to do it his way. When my next coach comes, I'm going to do it that way. Over time, you see, 5 people that are great, They're telling you to do it a certain way. You're going to do it exactly that way, exactly the way that the 4 or 5, 6 people telling me to do.
You watch this video all the way through, and that tells me you're dedicated to learning more and earning far above average outcomes in your life. Congratulations for that. But now it's time to take action. If you could have earned those results by yourself, you would have done it already. My head coach has opened up a few spots on his high-demand calendar for an in-person, one-on-one strategy session to help you. On this call, we'll give you the pragmatic advice that you can implement tonight to get laser-focused on the right metrics and leave mediocrity far behind in your past. Click that link right now in the description below and apply for your call immediately. Do it now.